A $10 purchase of a 5,000-year-old alien ship turns a human mechanic into a galactic emperor. Cypher 9's sun was harsh, burning the orange dust that coated everything, from the jagged cliffs to the endless scrapyard where Jonas spent most of his days. Sparks flew from his welding torch, cutting through a broken panel like it had been waiting for someone like him. Jonas was no hero. He didn't have a fleet, a reputation, or even much ambition beyond keeping his little repair shop running. His tools were old, some borrowed, some stolen from larger workshops, but he had skill, the kind that came from years of making broken machines work again. To him, there was beauty in fixing things that others considered useless. A cracked engine block, a snapped wire, a scratched hull, he could breathe life back into it. Yet life on Cypher 9 was dull. Every day was the same. Scavenging, repairing, negotiating with grumpy miners, and occasionally dodging local gangsters who wanted his parts. Most nights, he'd lie on the thin mattress in his cramped quarters and wonder if there was more to life than rust, dust, and the endless hum of broken engines. That day, however, something was different. Jonas had wandered further into the scrapyard than usual, past stacks of scrap metal taller than his shop, past abandoned hover trucks and crumpled cargo containers. His boots crunched over decades of forgotten debris until he stumbled across a shape half buried in the sand. It wasn't like any ship he'd seen before. Its hull was sleek, silver blue, and covered with strange inscriptions that shimmered faintly in the sun. Jonas knelt to brush away the dust and grime. The metal was warm under his fingers, almost alive. There was a hum so faint he thought he imagined it, but it made the hairs on his neck rise. He checked the plaque next to it, faded and scratched, almost unreadable. 5,000 years old, he read aloud, squinting. His mind laughed. Who would even care about something this old? A voice interrupted his thoughts. The scrapyard owner, a hunched alien with 4 eyes, shuffled over. "Ah, I see you found the old beauty," the creature said, gesturing vaguely at the ship. "You interested?" Jonas laughed nervously. "It looks expensive." The alien snorted. "Expensive? It's ancient, dusty, broken. I don't even want it. 10 credits and it's yours." 10 credits. Jonas froze. 10 credits was nothing. That was barely enough to cover a week's food and water on Cypher 9. And yet something about the ship called to him. He hesitated. He didn't know why he cared about a ship buried in sand, but he did. He handed over the credits, a crumpled note he'd saved from a long-forgotten customer. The alien's 4 eyes blinked and the deal was done. The ship was his. Jonas spent the rest of the day examining it. Its hull was smooth, almost seamless, and the inscriptions weren't letters or numbers. They were patterns, symbols that seemed to move when he looked at them. He tapped one gently. Nothing happened. Another tap, still nothing. Then by accident he pressed a sequence of symbols in a random order. The ship shivered. Dust fell from the hull. A low hum filled the air. Lights flickered along the panels. A small screen inside the cockpit blinked to life, projecting holographic symbols in green and blue. Jonas stumbled back, his heart racing. "Wah, what the hell?" he muttered. A voice, smooth and calm, filled the cockpit. "Welcome, user," Jonas jumped. Who said that?" "I am Oryx," the voice said. "I am the ship. You have awakened me." Jonas stared at the holographic display, unsure if he was dreaming or losing his mind. "You, a ship, you're talking." "Yes," Oryx replied. "I am over 5 millennia old. I am capable of travel, defense, and exploration beyond your understanding. You human have activated me." Jonas felt a mix of awe and panic. I just bought you for 10 credits. I don't know anything about interstellar ships." Oryx's calm voice did not change. "That is irrelevant. You have chosen to interact with me. You now hold knowledge and power that even your species has never encountered. You may explore the stars, but first you must understand me." Jonas rubbed his eyes. He thought of the scrapyard, the dusty tools, the endless monotony of Cypher 9. And then he looked at the ship again, sleek and humming with energy. For the first time, something ignited inside him. Adventure, possibility, power. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the scrapyard. Jonas climbed into the cockpit, and the ship seemed to recognize his presence. Symbols on the walls glowed brighter. Holographic panels swirled around him. His hands trembled as he touched a console, and the ship responded as if it were alive. For the next several hours, Jonas explored the ship systems. He learned quickly. The AI, Oryx, was patient. It explained propulsion, energy cores, defensive shields, and navigation across star systems. Jonas absorbed everything, his mind spinning with possibilities. Are you dangerous? Jonas asked at one point. Danger depends on the user, Oryx replied. You may choose to be cautious or reckless. I will follow your commands within limits. Jonas laughed nervously. Limits? Right, okay. But what about others, other people, aliens? Humans? They will notice you, Oryx said simply. Many will underestimate you. Some will try to take me from you. You must be clever. Jonas felt a thrill run through him. He had always been clever in the small scale, fixing engines, repairing ships, dealing with gangsters. But this was something entirely new. He was no longer a mechanic on a dead planet. He held a piece of galactic history, a machine that could outmatch entire fleets. Night fell on Zephyr 9 and the scrapyard grew quiet. Jonas finally stepped out of the cockpit and looked around. The stars were sharp, bright, endless. Somewhere out there were other civilizations, other humans, other aliens, some friendly, some hostile, and he would meet them. He would show them that humans were more than tools and miners. Over the next few days, Jonas learned more about the ship. It had autopilot, navigation charts for unknown systems, and even an archive of alien knowledge. With Oryx guiding him, he could travel farther than anyone on Zephyr 9 had ever dreamed. But there were problems. Small gangs tried to steal parts. Curious aliens from nearby settlements came snooping. Jonas had to hide the ship in a cavern outside the scrapyard, camouflaged with rocks and sand. He spent nights repairing and testing systems, learning to communicate with Oryx more fluently, and imagining the worlds he could see. One night, as he stared at the stars, he realized something important. He was no longer just Jonas the mechanic. He was Jonas the captain, the owner of a ship that could change everything. And maybe, just maybe, he could change humanity's place in the galaxy as well. He laughed softly, a sound of disbelief and excitement. 10 credits. That was all it had taken. 10 credits to buy a 5,000-year-old ship and unlock a future he hadn't dared dream of. Tomorrow, he said to Oryx, we see what this ship can really do. Oryx hummed, lights flickering along the control panels. Tomorrow, human, the galaxy becomes yours to explore. Jonas grinned. For the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. And in the quiet of Zephyr 9 scrapyard, surrounded by rust and dust, a legend began, not with armies or weapons, but with curiosity, ingenuity, and a human who refused to accept the ordinary. The first light of Zephyr 9 twin suns spilled across the scrapyard. Jonas was already inside the cockpit, hands tracing the alien symbols with a mixture of fear and excitement. The ship's hum resonated beneath him, almost like a heartbeat. Oryx, the ship's AI, glowed softly in holographic green. Where do we go first? Jonas asked, still unsure if he had the right to ask. That depends on your objective, Oryx replied. Do you seek knowledge, exploration, or survival? Jonas chuckled nervously. All of the above, I guess, survival first, then exploration. Oryx's lights pulsed. Prudent, many will seek to take me from you. The galaxy is no longer as quiet as Zephyr 9. You must be cautious. Jonas swallowed hard. The thought of being hunted was terrifying, but he also felt an undeniable thrill. He had always been clever enough to fix broken engines and avoid trouble with gangs. Now, he had a ship that could outrun anyone, outfight anyone, and outthink almost anyone. He started the ship's systems. Energy cores hummed to life, panels flickered, and the cockpit glowed with a cascade of alien symbols. The ship lifted gently from the sand. Jonah's heart raced. For the first time in his life, he felt free. The scrapyard and its dusty heaps shrank below him as he soared into the thin, pale atmosphere of Zephyr 9. Jonas grinned, gripping the controls. He could see the twin suns reflecting off distant moons, the jagged cliffs of the planet, and even the distant shadows of mining colonies. And then, the ship's sensors picked something up. "Unknown vessel approaching," Oryx said. Jonas squinted at the readout. A small transport ship, likely a scavenger, was heading straight for him. It looked ordinary, harmless. But Jonas had learned one thing already: appearances were deceiving in space. "Should I fight it?" Jonas asked, unsure. "No, avoid detection first," Oryx advised. "We can observe without engagement." Jonas hesitated, then activated the ship's cloaking system. A shimmer washed over the hull and the small transport passed without noticing. Jonas exhaled, realizing how much power he held. Even a human in the right hands could be untouchable. The first jump through space came with a mixture of fear and excitement. Jonas punched in coordinates to a nearby system he had seen on Oryx's star maps. The stars stretched and twisted outside the viewport as the ship accelerated faster than anything humans had ever built. He felt weightless, yet strangely in control, as if the ship had become an extension of himself. Once the jump was complete, Jonas found himself orbiting a small planet, green and blue, its oceans shimmering. The ship's AI projected a holographic map of the region. "This world is uninhabited by advanced civilizations. It could serve as a safe place to explore and learn." Jonas smiled. "Safe is good. Safe is very good." He landed the ship on the surface. The planet's gravity was light and the air breathable. Jonas stepped outside, feeling the soft grass beneath his boots. He could see mountains in the distance, rivers glinting in the sunlight. The planet was alive, untouched, and beautiful. For a moment he forgot everything about Zephyr 9, the scrapyard, even his old life. But peace did not last. Oryx's sensors beeped urgently. "Jonas, you are not alone." From the horizon, a fleet of small ships emerged, sleek and angular. Pirates, raiders. They had somehow detected the ancient ship and its new human pilot. Jonas' heart pounded. He had never commanded anything larger than a repair bay. Now he faced ships armed with energy weapons and missiles. "Do we fight?" Jonas asked, his hands shaking. Oryx's voice was calm. "We fight smart. Direct confrontation will likely destroy you. Strategy is required." Jonas took a deep breath. "Okay, strategy it is." Using the planet's terrain, Jonas guided the ship behind a mountain range. The pirates followed, scanning for him. But Jonas had learned something crucial. Humans think differently than the pirates. He manipulated the ship's holographic decoys, creating multiple copies of himself in orbit and on the surface. The pirates fired wildly, striking nothing. "Impressive," one pirate muttered over comms. "How is this possible? That human is everywhere." Jonas grinned. He realized that ingenuity, cleverness, and improvisation were humans' real weapons. The ship's AI gave him more options: gravitational pulses to push enemy ships off course, temporary energy shields, and holographic misdirection. Each maneuver made the pirates frustrated, slow, and reckless. Within hours, Jonas had driven the fleet away without firing a single lethal shot. His grin widened. Humanity could survive. Humanity could thrive. The battle taught Jonas two important lessons. The galaxy was dangerous, and humans were capable of much more than anyone, including himself, had believed. Over the next few weeks, Jonas explored nearby star systems. He discovered abandoned space stations, derelict ships, and planets that were rich with resources. Each discovery gave him confidence. He started mapping his own routes, experimenting with Oryx's systems, and testing the ship's incredible abilities. He also began to notice patterns in alien behavior. Many species underestimated humans, thinking them primitive, weak, and insignificant. But humans were adaptable. Humans were clever. And with the ship, Jonas realized humans could do things no one else could imagine. One evening, after another successful evasion of pirates, Jonas looked out at a binary sunset from the bridge. He thought about Zephyr 9, the scrapyard, and the $10 purchase that had started it all. A small smile crept across his face. 10 credits, he muttered, and now we can do anything. Oryx hummed softly, almost approvingly. Anything within reason, Jonas laughed. Within reason, sure, but maybe it's time to test limits. As he plotted the next jump, a new signal appeared on the sensors. A fleet unlike any he had ever seen, massive, angular, and ominous. It was not pirates. This was an organized force, clearly ancient, clearly powerful. Jonah's stomach tightened. They know we exist, Oryx said, and they are coming. Jonas clenched his fists. Fear pulsed through him, but it was mixed with something else, determination. He had survived Zephyr 9, he had survived pirates, and he had mastered the ship in ways few humans could. This new fleet would be his first real test, and he was ready. Set course, he said, his voice firm. Let us show them what humans can do. Oryx pulsed, lights flickering across the cockpit. Very well, human, prepare for first contact. For the first time in his life, Jonas felt the weight of responsibility, not just for himself, but for humanity. He was alone, but he was human. He had a 5,000-year-old ship, and he was about to make a name for his species in the galaxy. As the stars stretched and twisted in hyperspace, Jonas leaned back in his seat, a grin on his face, and whispered, "Let them come." The galaxy was no longer quiet. And humans would be heard. Jonas gripped the controls of the 5,000-year-old ship as it drifted silently above a gas giant. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched and twisted in the light of distant suns, but his eyes were fixed on the holographic display in front of him. Oryx's calm voice filled the cockpit. "They are approaching," it said. "The fleet is vast, far larger than any threat you have faced. They are ancient, organized, and ruthless. They will not hesitate to destroy you." Jonas swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the moment. He had faced pirates and minor factions, but this was different. These ships were not scavengers. They were part of a long-forgotten empire, their weapons and defenses honed over millennia. Any human captain would have panicked. Jonas felt something strange. Excitement. "Let's see what humans can do," he said, a grin forming on his face. Oryx pulsed, its holographic circuits glowing brighter. "Prepare for combat maneuvers. I will assist, but strategy must come from you. Your species has potential, Jonas. Let us see it." The first ships appeared on sensors. Hundreds of vessels, angular and metallic, moving in perfect formation. Jonas realized immediately that a direct attack would be suicide. But humans had something no ancient fleet expected: unpredictability. "Listen," Jonas said, leaning forward, "they think we are weak. They think humans are easy to crush. Let's give them a surprise." He tapped the ship's console, activating Oryx's holographic decoys. Multiple images of the ship appeared in orbit, spinning, rotating, disappearing, and reappearing. The fleet fired wildly, energy bolts streaking across space. Each shot hit nothing but empty space. "Impressive," Jonas muttered. "We're ghosts." Oryx's voice was calm. "Deception is effective but temporary. They will adapt. We must move." Jonas plotted a risky path through the asteroid field surrounding the gas giant. The massive rocks would act as cover. The fleet hesitated, scanning the field. Jonas's ship zipped between asteroids, leaving a trail of holographic decoys in its wake. The fleet adjusted, attempting to trap him, but Jonas had studied their formations. He noticed a flaw. They assumed humans lacked coordination and patience. Humans could improvise. Humans could think. He triggered the ship's gravitational pulse, a feature Oryx had discovered during early tests. The pulse pushed several ships off course, sending them careening into asteroids. Others collided with each other in confusion. Jonas laughed. "Humans aren't just survivors," he said. "We're unpredictable, we're smart, we're clever." Oryx hummed. "Indeed, you are proving the value of your species. They underestimated you." The fleet, frustrated and disoriented, regrouped. Jonas realized they would not retreat easily. He needed a plan, not just for survival, but to prove that humans belonged in the galaxy's higher ranks. He studied the fleet's formations carefully, analyzing weak points and predictable patterns. Then, with a deep breath, he activated the ship's advanced communication system, broadcasting a signal in the alien fleet's language. "This is Jonas of humanity," he said boldly. "We do not seek war, but we will defend ourselves. Withdraw or face consequences you cannot predict." The fleet commander, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, replied with disdain. "You are insignificant. Your species is primitive. We will destroy you." Jonas smiled. "That's exactly what they think." He executed a daring maneuver. The ship's engines flared as it accelerated through the fleet, weaving between vessels. Oryx activated energy fields that temporarily disabled enemy weapons without harming the crews. Jonas used the holographic decoys to trick the fleet into dividing their forces. The battle was chaotic, tense, and exhilarating. Jonas relied on intuition, observation, and improvisation. Every decision, every twist, every pulse of energy showcased human ingenuity. The fleet, powerful and ancient, had never faced an enemy like this, clever, adaptive, and fearless. Hours passed. The fleet realized they were outmatched, not by brute force but by cunning. Jonas had manipulated their formations, disabled their weapons, and outsmarted them at every turn. Eventually, they withdrew, retreating into the dark regions of space. Jonas exhaled, leaning back in his seat. Sweat dripped down his face and his heart pounded. He had done it. He had faced an ancient fleet and survived, not because of the ship alone, but because he was human. Oryx pulsed with quiet approval. "Your species has remarkable potential. Today, you demonstrated intelligence, creativity, and courage. Other civilizations will notice. They will respect humans or fear them." Jonas laughed softly, relief washing over him. "I didn't just survive. I won." The victory changed something inside him. He had always been just a mechanic from a dusty planet. But now he realized humans could achieve greatness on a galactic scale. All it took was intelligence, creativity, and courage, the qualities that set humanity apart. Over the following weeks, Jonas traveled to nearby systems, meeting human colonies that had long been isolated. Each time he shared knowledge, technology, and hope. Word of his victory over the ancient fleet spread quickly. Humans who were once seen as weak and insignificant were now respected, even admired. Some alien civilizations approached him cautiously, offering alliances. Jonas negotiated with tact, understanding, and respect. He was no longer a lone mechanic. He was a representative of humanity, a symbol of what humans could achieve when underestimated and ignored. Despite the growing fame, Jonas remained humble. He returned often to the cockpit of the 5,000-year-old ship, consulting Oryx, studying the maps and planning the next steps. He knew the galaxy was vast, full of dangers and opportunities, and he understood that humans had to be clever, not just strong, to survive and thrive. During one journey, he discovered a derelict alien city on a remote planet. Its structures were massive, ancient, and advanced beyond comprehension. Oryx explained that the city had been abandoned for millennia, but its technology remained intact. Jonas explored the ruins carefully, learning from the alien systems and integrating what he could into his own strategies. Each discovery reinforced a single truth: humans were adaptable. Humans could learn. Humans could excel. And with the ship, Jonas could amplify these qualities on a scale no other species could imagine. But it was not just technology or strategy that made Jonas exceptional, it was his humanity. Unlike the ancient fleet, he valued life. His maneuvers minimized casualties, even when defending himself. His leadership inspired loyalty, not fear, and his courage, combined with intelligence, set humans apart from every other species he encountered. One night, orbiting a gas giant with rings that shimmered like jewels, Jonas reflected on the journey so far. From a scrapyard on Zephyr 9 to defeating an ancient fleet, the transformation was unbelievable. He had started as a mechanic, unaware of the galaxy's dangers and wonders. Now he was a leader, a symbol, a force that others could not ignore. Oryx pulsed softly. Humans are remarkable, you have proven it, but the galaxy is vast. Greater challenges await. Jonas smiled, looking at the swirling rings below. Let them come, he said. Humans are ready. In the weeks that followed, Jonas consolidated his influence. Human colonies, inspired by his victories and leadership, began coordinating. Communication networks, trade routes, and defense strategies were established under his guidance. For the first time, humans were a cohesive force in the galaxy, no longer scattered, ignored, or weak. And Jonas, once a mechanic, had become something else entirely. Not through inherited power or brute force, but through intelligence, courage, and the belief that humans were capable of greatness. The galaxy, which had overlooked humanity for so long, was beginning to take notice. Every encounter, every victory, every clever maneuver expanded Jonah's reputation. Aliens who once dismissed humans as insignificant now regarded them with caution, respect, and even fear. And humans themselves began to realize their potential. Jonas continued to explore, fight, and learn. Each day, he strengthened humanity's place in the galaxy. And through it all, the $10 purchase of a 5,000-year-old ship remained a reminder. Greatness can come from the most ordinary beginnings, and the smallest decision can change the fate of an entire species. By the end of Part 3, Jonas was no longer just a survivor. He was a leader, a strategist, a symbol. The title of Galactic Emperor was not official yet, but the seeds were planted. Humans, once underestimated, were rising, and Jonas was their catalyst. The galaxy would never be the same. Jonas floated above the orbit of a vibrant planet, watching clouds swirl in brilliant blues and greens. His ship, once a dusty relic buried under years of scrap, now gleamed like a star itself. Oryx hummed softly beside him, the alien AI's holographic presence reflecting on the cockpit panels. The galaxy has changed, Oryx said. Humans are no longer insignificant. Your victories have reshaped perceptions. Jonas nodded slowly. He thought about the journey from the scrapyard on Zephyr 9 to this moment. He had faced pirates, outsmarted ancient fleets, and inspired scattered human colonies to unite. Yet he knew the galaxy was vast, full of civilizations, each with their own ambitions. There was still much work to do. He activated the navigation console and accessed a star map filled with human colonies, trading routes, and nearby alien worlds. We have to bring humans together, he said. If we survive, we do it as one. If we thrive together. Oryx pulsed, green lights tracing along the holograms. You understand leadership. That is rare, Jonas. Many leaders rely on force alone. You rely on strategy, trust, and intelligence. Jonas smiled. It worked so far, didn't it? Their first stop was a human colony on a forested world. The people there were cautious, used to being ignored and dismissed by the galaxy's older civilizations. When Jonas arrived, the sight of the massive, alien ship sent gasps through the settlement. Children stared with wide eyes and elders whispered in disbelief. I've heard tales, one woman said, her voice trembling. They say humans are rising, that someone is leading us. Is it true? Jonas stepped out, smiling warmly. Yes, he said simply. We've been underestimated for too long, but not anymore. Together, we can protect ourselves, trade fairly, and explore the stars. Humanity is stronger when we work as one. Word spread quickly. Colonies that had long felt isolated began sending envoys, joining communications networks and sharing technology. Jonah's coordinated trade, defense strategies, and scientific research. Under his guidance, humans moved from scattered settlements to a cohesive galactic network, capable of standing against alien powers. But not everyone welcomed humans' rise. Nearby empires watched carefully, some with curiosity, others with hostility. One fleet of alien diplomats arrived, massive and imposing, their ships casting shadows over the human colonies. Jonas welcomed them with calm authority. "You've built something remarkable," one alien envoy said. "A species so young, yet already so organized." "Why should we respect you?" Jonas looked them in the eye. "Because humans are clever, adaptable, and brave. We do not fear challenges. We learn, we survive, and we find ways to thrive where others fail. Underestimating humans is a mistake, one your species cannot afford." The aliens nodded, some reluctantly, some impressed. A few even proposed alliances. Jonas realized that human ingenuity, paired with fairness and courage, could win respect even without overwhelming power. Meanwhile, Jonas continued exploring ancient ruins, abandoned fleets, and lost colonies. Each discovery strengthened humans' position. Technologies once thought lost were recovered and adapted. Planets once ignored became thriving hubs of knowledge, trade, and culture. Humanity was no longer scattered and weak. They were unified, resourceful, and respected. On a quiet night aboard his ship, Jonas reflected on the journey. From a scrapyard mechanic to a leader of an emerging galactic power, the transformation was astonishing. He had started with nothing but curiosity, skill, and courage. A $10 purchase had set everything in motion. Oryx pulsed softly. "You have done more than survive, Jonas. You have created a legacy. Humans will be remembered across the galaxy." Jonas nodded, staring at the stars. "It's not just about me," he said. "It's about every human who never gave up, every engineer, miner, and dreamer who thought they were too small to matter. This is for all of us." The next months were filled with diplomacy and exploration. Jonas mediated disputes between alien factions, ensuring humans were never caught in conflicts they could not handle. He encouraged science, trade, and cultural exchange. Yet he never lost sight of human strengths, creativity, resilience, and courage. A fleet of explorers, trained and inspired by Jonas, traveled into uncharted regions. They discovered habitable worlds, intelligent species previously unknown, and remnants of civilizations older than any human history. Every discovery reinforced the truth. Humanity belonged among the stars, not as servants but as equals. One day, while orbiting a world with crystal blue oceans, Jonas received a message. It was from an alien council, the oldest in the galaxy. They had been monitoring humans and their rise. Their message was clear: humans must be reckoned with, respected, and included in galactic governance. Jonas smiled. This was more than victory in battle or clever strategy, it was recognition. Humanity had earned its place. Back on the planet's surface, humans celebrated. Children ran through forests, laughing, while scientists and engineers collaborated freely with alien allies. Jonas visited them, sharing stories of his journey, the $10 purchase, and the lessons of courage and ingenuity. His tale became legend, a story parents told their children. How one mechanic, through intelligence and bravery, had changed the fate of humanity forever. Despite all the grandeur, Jonas remained humble. He often returned to the cockpit, tinkering with Oryx, experimenting with new systems, and preparing for the unknown challenges ahead. He knew that the galaxy was vast, full of surprises, and that human survival depended on continued learning and innovation. Oryx pulsed one evening, softly lighting the cockpit. "Jonas, The galaxy recognizes humans now. You have built alliances, defended colonies, and demonstrated the value of your species. Your influence will endure long after you are gone. Jonas leaned back in his chair, looking at the stars. I didn't do it for glory, he said quietly. I did it because humans deserve a chance, because we are capable, because one day every human should know they can reach beyond their limits. And in that moment, orbiting a peaceful world with humanity thriving below, Jonas understood the true meaning of power. It was not conquest or fear. It was courage, ingenuity, and the ability to inspire others to rise. The $10 purchase, once a trivial transaction in a dusty scrapyard, had become the spark that ignited humanity's destiny. What began as curiosity and necessity had become leadership, vision, and triumph. Humans would no longer be ignored, dismissed, or underestimated. They had proven that even the smallest, most ordinary beginning could shape the fate of the galaxy. Jonas, once a mechanic, now stood as a symbol of human potential, a beacon to his species and a warning to the galaxy. Humans were clever, adaptable, and unstoppable when united. They were survivors, explorers, and leaders. As he looked out at the stars, Jonas whispered, "The galaxy is ours to explore, and humans will never be forgotten." Oryx pulsed warmly. Indeed, Jonas, humanity's legacy begins now. And so, the mechanic from Ziffer 9 became more than a hero. He became a leader of a rising human empire, a symbol of ingenuity, courage, and the extraordinary power of the human spirit. The galaxy had been changed forever, not by weapons, not by conquest, but by intelligence, creativity, and heart, the true strengths of humanity. Jonas smiled. The journey was only beginning, but the story of humanity was now being written in the stars.